Good morning and welcome. I call this meeting of the Pinellas County School Board on October 10th to order. This morning's invocation will be given by Mr. Pat Cavanaugh, of Metro Area Director at Fellowship of Christian Athletes. The invocation will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Vice Chair Laura Hine, and the playing of the National Anthem. The National Anthem will be performed by the Seminole Singers under the direction of Maya Barrios. Thank you all very much. Could you please stand and remain standing until the conclusion of the National Anthem? And Mr. Cavanaugh, would you please share the invocation?
Good morning. Heavenly Father, I just thank you for bringing us all together today. I thank you for the leadership for our county. Lord, I pray for our servants that are serving on this commission and overseeing our county. Lord, I pray that you just bless all of our schools, our leadership, our administration, our teachers, and our students, Lord, all the way down to the sports teams. Lord, I pray that you just give us all wisdom as we lead our lives every day, knowing that everything and every decision we make is very important for the students here in our county. Lord, I thank you so much that we live in this country where we have the freedom to acknowledge you and to ask you into our lives. And I ask that you be present here with this board. Lord, I thank you once again, and I pray for all of our religions, all of our communities to come together and pray for peace across our world. Lord, I pray for the thing going on in the Middle East with Israel and the Palestinians, that you would bring peace to that. And Lord, that you would just have your way. Thank you for all the students that get to do all their extracurricular activities. Bless them as they use their talents to give you glory. And we just thank you and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you very much. You may be seated. Ms. Barrios, would you please present the second song titled Gloria Deo by Victor C. Johnson?
Yes, so my name is Miss Maya Barrios. I am the teacher at Seminole High School. We were asked to perform at this meeting for Richard O. Jacobson. So thank you so much for inviting us. We'll be performing Gloria Deo by Victor C. Johnson. Thank you.
Gloria, Gloria, Gloria Deo, Gloria, Gloria, Gloria Deo, Gloria Deo, Alleluia, Gloria Deo, Alleluia.
Thank you so much to Seminole High School's Seminole Singers. We thank you all for being here today, and it was beautiful. Well done. Thank you also, Ms. Barrios and Mr. Cavagna for the invocation this morning. And now I'd like to introduce today's video. Students at Bowder Elementary are riding the wave of academic success. Let's take a look at the recent Rock Your School Day at Bowder, where students were immersed in fun and engaging learning experiences.
Today at Bowder, we have our Rock Your School Day, and it is about doing something to inspire students to love learning and bring the passion back to what we do in our classrooms. Are you having the most epic day ever? Awesome. So in every single classroom, they're all doing something different. For example, my second grade team are focusing on density and creating a bottle that is the layers of the ocean. And so they're learning about the density and why the lowest layer is the darkest. And then we also have a presentation in our forum.
Woody, please swim to the bottom.
Mad Science is coming, and they are presenting on hurricanes and vortexes and what happens with the weather and the ocean water. Our fifth grade is doing an escape room where they are learning where in the world is grandma. And so through an escape room, they are figuring out clues through English language arts, math, science, and social studies to get the clue that will give them the letters that spell out where grandma is in the world.
Today has been really fun. We are doing a lot of activities that help us learn, and we get to use teamwork in it too. I've learned that you have to use the clues and that you can't rush to find the answer.
It's like a challenge, and like it's harder, and I like harder math. So it's kind of like a race. It's like fun. So like you like race to see who can do it first, and we're in like teams.
So each time I go into all the classrooms throughout today, they're sharing their learning. They're excited to tell me what they're learning. And it's not just the fun of doing something, it's what they're learning that's in the standards so that it helps them do something hands-on to learn. So in every bit of our school, our students are engaged in riding the wave to success with an ocean theme for Rock Your School.
Looks like a lot of fun. I want to go to Bowder Elementary and experience some of that. Looks pretty awesome. Thank you all so much. That was fantastic. And now our information officer, Miss Isabella Mascarenas, will introduce our professional and community organizations that are present with us today.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, Mr. Hendrick and staff. It is my pleasure to introduce the following representatives of community and professional organizations. Representing the Pinellas Educational Support Professionals Association, or PESPA, Nellie Henez, President. From the Pinellas Classroom Teachers Association, President Lee Bryant. Representing the North Pinellas League of Women Voters, Jean Reynolds. Members of the media in attendance from the Tampa Bay Times, Doug Clifford. Today we have a presentation from the Student Rights and Responsibility Committee. Please welcome students Alexiona Davis and Kiana Lawless from Richard O. Jacobson Technical High School and their principal, Joshua Wolfenden.
Thank you very much, and good morning and welcome to all. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, Mr. Hendrick and staff. It is our pleasure to present the Student Rights and Responsibilities Committee report for Richard O. Jacobson Technical High School at Seminole. My name is Kiana Lawless. I'm a senior at Richard O. Jacobson Technical High School in the construction program.
And I'm Alexiana Davis. I'm a junior in the nursing program at Richard O. Jacobson Technical High School.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to tell you a little bit about our school. We are a district application program high school that supports every student graduating not only with a high school diploma, but with one or more industry certifications as well.
Our school offers 7 different career technical education programs, a variety of industry certifications, and opportunities.
Our gaming students earn software certifications in C++ and Unity, and commercial arts students earn certification in Adobe products.
Our construction electric students earn certifications through the National Center for Construction Education. Research and marine mechanics students earn certifications to become Yamaha technicians.
Our veterinary students complete a 250-hour internship to earn their certification, or their Certified Veterinary Assistant, CVA certification. Our school has 6 cows, 4 horses, 4 goats, 2 pigs, lots of rabbits, and a few birds. We also have a partnership with Pinellas County Animal Services. They bring dogs and cats to our school each Monday and come back to get them on Thursday. Our vet students work in a state-of-the-art vet science building where the classrooms are attached to a vet lab and a large animal stadium.
Our nursing students are able to earn their CNA and EKG certifications working in nursing labs and completing clinicals in assisted living facilities. Nursing students who complete their graduation requirements by the end of their junior year are eligible to attend Pinellas Technical College full-time as a senior and earn their LPN certification.
Each of our career programs has an active advisory board made of business partners and professionals in the community. They help us make sure our programs are staying on the forefront of their industry. Magnet Schools of America recognized us as the #1 emerging magnet school in America for 2021 and recognized our school as School of Distinction in 2022.
One of the best things about our school is that our teachers and administrators work hard to provide us with opportunities to participate in real-world experiences related to our industry.
But the Pinellas Education Foundation approached students from the Commercial Arts program to design an interactive installation for Finance Park that highlights the contributions of Mr. Jacobson to Pinellas County Schools, as well as career possibilities for younger students to explore. This installation is currently on display in Finance Park.
Each year, our gaming students participate in the Next Generation Tech Competition. This is a district-wide competition where students develop games, apps, softwares, and real-world products. The students work in collaborative teams for months to design, develop, troubleshoot, and produce their final product.
Many of our students also participate in Skills USA competitions at the regional, state, and national levels. We currently have 2 students serving as state officers. One is the state high school president. We also have 1 student serving as a regional officer. We are excited to increase our participation in Skills USA this year.
Our construction and electricity programs partner with Pinellas County Schools this summer. 6 of our students interned in the maintenance department, gaining real-world experience. We have also partnered with the Elementary Science Education Office to build all of the makerspace carts for Pinellas County elementary schools.
Our marine mechanics program partners with Yamaha, Suzuki, and Mercury, which provide the tools, curriculum, and resources such as motors, rigging equipment, and electrical systems so the students in this program get the experience they need to earn the certifications to work in the marine industry.
Our veterinary assisting students take pictures of the dogs and cats they work with from Animal Services and post them to the vet's Instagram page. Every dog that came through our school last year has ended up getting adopted. A lot of them have been adopted by our students.
Currently, we have 19 of our senior nursing students dual enrolled full-time at Pinellas Technical College pursuing their LPN certifications. We are working on a partnership with St. Petersburg College of Nursing to develop a pathway for students to continue their education in pursuing of their Bachelor's of Science in Nursing.
We are so proud of our school and the opportunities that we have available to us as students at Tech High.
Being able to graduate with dual enrollment credits, advanced placement credits, industry certifications, a network of business partners in our community, and the hands-on experience of working in our field will truly set us apart from the competition when we are applying for colleges or universities, applying for positions in our chosen industry, or enlisting in the military.
Tech High has given us the skills to not only pursue our path after high school, but to be a leader on the path that we have chosen. We are excited to see what the future holds, and we are grateful that we have the opportunity to be part of such a great school.
We would like to say thank you to the school board, Mr. Hendrick, the Pinellas Education Foundation, Mr. Hunt, and the Career Technical Education Office, and everyone who has made it possible for Richard O. Jacobson Technical High School to be the school that we are. As a result of our experiences at Tech High, we have a clear vision of where we are going and how we are going to make our impact on the world. We are Tech High.
High. 。 .
「
Thank you both so much for the extraordinary presentation, and thank you also to Principal Josh Wolfenden for being here this morning. Thank you, Richard O. Jacobson, Tech High. Thank you for coming this afternoon. With that, we're going to move to the amendments to our agenda. Mr. Hendrick, are there any recommended amendments to the agenda?
No, Madam Chair, I have no amendments.
Thank you. Are there any other recommended changes?
Yes, Madam Chair. I would like to pull only bid number 24208-055 on consent agenda item 7.7, which is in the purchasing agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Peters. And as board chair, I find good cause to amend the agenda as just described. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda? A motion by Ms. Hine. Second. A second by Ms. Edmond. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Then the motion carries unanimously, 7-0. And we're moving forward to our special order of agenda. May I have a motion to approve item 4.1, the presentation of the proclamation observing National School Lunch Week, October 9th through October 13th, 2023. A motion by Mrs. Long and a second by Mrs. Cook. Mr. Hendrick, can you please introduce the item?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Excited today to recognize National School Lunch Week, and I'd like to call up to give a little bit more information the Assistant Director of Food and Nutrition, Samantha Mushelshansky.
Hi, and good morning. So, if you are aware, and as you are aware, October 9th through the 13th is National School Lunch Week. Since 1962, when President John F. Kennedy created National School Lunch Week, we have recognized that the health and well-being of children is a national priority, and that every student should have access to healthy meals. We also affirm our support of the National School Lunch Program and all of our school nutrition professionals in Pinellas County for the work that they do to feed over 90,000 kids a day. School lunches have long been a lifeline for many students across our county. And for our families, parents have the peace of mind for knowing that their children have access to healthy, balanced meals for school lunch. Students are fueled by their school lunches and can more effectively focus and learn in the classroom. In fact, studies show that nutritious school lunches may increase academic performance and reduce the likelihood of childhood obesity. This year's theme is Level Up with School Lunch. The theme is intended to encourage students to eat a healthy lunch by linking nutritious foods to the video games that resonate with them. During National School Lunch Week, we recognize that helping our children fulfill the highest potential begins with access to these nutritious school meals. And we honor all of our school nutrition professionals, our farmers, ranchers, teachers, and administration who make these lunches possible each day. So are you ready to get your game on and level up with school lunch? So there we passed out some bookmarks and some pencils that we are offering to kids who come through the line for school lunch this week. And previous to the meeting, I did pass out some iced coffee. This is a new offering that we're offering some high schools. It is reimbursable with their breakfast, not lunch, but and then they can receive a free iced coffee with their breakfast. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mushelshansky, for that presentation. And now we're going to invite Ms. Long to please read the proclamation.
National School Lunch Week. Whereas the National School Lunch Program has served our nation admirably for more than 70 years through the advanced practices and nutrition education. And whereas the National School Lunch Program is dedicated to the health and well-being of our nation's children. And whereas the National School Lunch Program has been joined through the years by many other excellent child feeding programs, and there is evidence of continued need for nutrition education and the awareness of the value of the school nutrition programs. Now, therefore, the School Board of Pinellas County does hereby proclaim the week of October 9th through the 13th, 2023 as National School Lunch Week. We encourage all residents to become aware and concerned about their children's nutritional habits in hope of achieving a more healthful citizenry for today and the future. Signed this 10th day of October, 2023.
Thank you very much. much. Is there any discussion from board members?
I just want to say this is a wonderful program. Back in the 60s and the 70s, we started getting away from nutritional school lunches, and that's when a lot of the soda and the corn chips, things like that, came on into our grocery stores. And since then, the children have really suffered. Autoimmune diseases, diabetes, those are just some of the things that are just exploding in our country right now. Autoimmune disease is really all of a sudden becoming more of a children's problem than it is in adults. And believe me, I live with 9 autoimmune diseases. And since losing all this weight, it has helped my autoimmunes. But as a mother, I've really watched my 2 kids and what they eat. And I struggle with my son, who is so bone thin, but he eats all the wrong foods. And like I keep telling him, it's going to catch up with you. So healthy food choices in the school is a wonderful beginning. Hopefully our children will learn enough and think enough to start picking better choices no matter where they are, and save a life full of pain having to deal with the repercussions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Long. We have a motion on the floor to approve item 4.1, presentation of the proclamation observing National School Lunch Week, October 9th through 13th, 2023. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? There are none opposed, so the motion to approve item 4.1 passes unanimously, 7-0. Moving forward, may I have a motion to approve item 4.2, the presentation of the proclamation recognizing School Bus Safety Week. This will be next week, October the 16th through the 20th, 2023. So, a motion by Mrs. Cook and a second by Mrs. Meyer. Mr. Hendrick, would you introduce the item?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Excited to celebrate the safe driving of our school buses each and every day, but especially next week. And to share more about this recognition is our Director of Transportation, Mr. T. Mark Hagawood. Mr. Hagawood?
Good morning, Madam Chair, school board members, Mr. Hendrick and staff. Florida joins every state across the country to observe National School Bus Safety Week, October 16th through 20th. The national campaign this year is Safely Rolling to My Destination. Pinellas County Schools transports 22,000 students safely to and from school each day. Our school bus drivers do this on 303 school buses in heavy traffic and road conditions. They do this with a smile and, as I like to say, have a school bus day. Please join Pinellas County Schools Transportation Department in celebrating National School Bus Safety Week.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that, Mr. Hagewood. And now we'd like to invite Ms. Peters to read our proclamation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Proclamation for National School Bus Safety Week, Safely Rolling to My Destination. Whereas the health and safety of all students is essential to the happiness and well-being of the families and teachers and communities. And whereas the exemplary safety performance exhibited each day by almost 15,000 school bus operators on Florida roads ensures the highest level of safety for other motorists and student riders. And whereas students are 70 times more likely to get to school safely when taking a bus instead of traveling by car. And whereas school buses provide the most and sometimes only reliable form of transportation to and from school, which promotes attendance, punctuality, and encourages better student achievement. And whereas motorists must remember to stop when a school bus has stopped with its stop arms extended and red lights flashing. And whereas school bus transportation employees should be recognized for their diligence in safely transporting the school children of Pinellas County. Whereas local organizations are encouraged to support student traffic safety activities associated with National School Bus Safety Week, and everyone is reminded to keep a watchful eye for students going to and from school and to take extra precautions around students and school buses. And now, therefore, we, the Pinellas County School Board, do hereby recognize National School Bus Safety Week during the week of October 16th through 20th, 2023. Signed this 10th day of October, 2023.
Thank you, Ms. Peters. Is there any discussion from the board members? Mrs. Cook?
Yeah, thank you. Our bus drivers do a fabulous job of transporting our children safely to and from. And for those children that are within the bus, they are very, very safe. The drivers do get to know the children, get to know where they're supposed to be dropped off and everything else. One of the things that this community needs to be aware of is what drivers are doing and what happens outside of the bus. I think it's very important that all of our drivers find out exactly what the rules are. When are you supposed to stop? When are you not supposed to stop on multiple lane traffic lanes? But the good rule of thumb is stop when you see the arm go out. There are actually people in Pinellas County that will pass the bus on the right-hand side where children are getting on and off and then moving forward because they want to save a couple of minutes, not even a couple minutes, they want to save a minute. So I am encouraging, and I'm sure T-Mark is also doing that as well as every single board member, learn what the rules are, pay attention. It is a big yellow bus. When it stops, you stop. So please pay attention and keep our children safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Cook. I second everything that you said, and I also want to extend my gratitude to you, Mr. Hagewood, and the entire staff of bus drivers and school safety personnel, because it is a heavy lift to get the students, and we've done a lot of changes this year and a strong concerted effort to get them to school on time, to get them home on time, and I just think it's one of those silent things that people just expect to happen, don't realize the amount of work and time and effort that the staff puts in to make sure that that's happening every single day in heavy traffic, no matter what's happening in Pinellas County on the roads with construction and the reboot of US 19 and all the things going on. So I extend my appreciation. I know I speak for the board when I say that, but also myself as a parent of students who ride the bus every day. I appreciate all the changes and I appreciate the work that they do every day to keep them safe and get them there on time so they're not missing periods each and every day. So thank you very, very much. And with that, we have a motion on the floor to approve item 4.1, the proclamation recognizing School Bus Safety Week, October 16th through the 20th, 2023. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? There are none opposed, so the motion to approve item 4.2 carries unanimously 7-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now we will, let's see. And now we will hear item 4.3, the recognition of school bus drivers with safe driving records. As this recognition does not require a board vote, Mr. Hendrick will introduce the item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As we celebrate National School Bus Safety Week, we also want to recognize those drivers who drive our children every day with great driving records, not over just a few weeks or months, but a decade or more. 44 bus drivers in Pinellas County Schools have had a perfect driving record for over a decade. Mr. Hagerwood is going to tell us a little bit more about these drivers and some special ones that have had multiple decades and how we will be celebrating and recognizing them in the coming days.
Thank you, Mr. Hendrick. In keeping with our theme of safely rolling to our destination, we do have 44 school bus drivers that have over 10 years of safe rolling around Pinellas County. Pinellas County is fortunate to have these 44 drivers that have safe driving abilities. We have 13 that have over 20 years of safe driving, and we have one gentleman, Mr. Truck Russell, who has over 30 years of safe driving, which is a huge accomplishment. The drivers are finishing their routes this morning, so they're not here with us, but we're going to be celebrating them on the 18th of October at a luncheon at Stavros Institute, and I hope you'll be able to join us to celebrate our safe drivers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hagewood. Is there any discussion from board members? All right, with that, may I have a motion to approve item 4.4? Thank you again, Mr. Hagewood. I'm sorry, moving forward. To designate October 2023 also as National Principals Month. I have a motion by Mrs. Hines. Second. And a second by Mrs. Edmond. Mr. Hendrick, I'm going to kick
Thank you,
it to
Madam Chair. On behalf of the area superintendents and our Transformation Zone Chief who honor our principals and support our 128 principals every day, I'd like to call up our Transformation Zone Chief, Danica Jones, who will tell a little bit more about the proclamation. Chief Jones.
Great morning. Great morning, Madam Chair, school board members, Mr. Hendrick. I am thrilled to be here. It's my first time up, and so I'm pretty excited. And I kind of wanted to start just with a little bit of what my first experience with principals was like for me. I am the eldest of 5 children, and my parents would huddle us all together and drag us up to the school to meet the principal every year. And as a kid, I thought, this is ridiculous, and I'm a bit embarrassed. I was a little shy. But now I understand, right? Sitting in the seat of a principalship, I absolutely understand that what my parents were trying to communicate was that I am sending you my prized possessions. I am trusting you to teach them, to help them to grow, to have them experience school in a way that school has never been experienced. And that was important to them, and it's so important to me. So as I lead off, I really wanted to just share that with everyone. I understand the role of a principal, but I also understand the role of a parent. And I'm so grateful for the parents of Pinellas County in entrusting us with their scholars. All right, so the Florida Association of School Administrators, the National Association of Secondary School Principals, and the National Association for Elementary School Principals have declared the month of October as National Principal Month. Research continues to demonstrate that school leadership is second only to teaching amongst school-related factors in the impact on student learning. Pinellas County recognizes the importance of our principals in leading our schools toward 100% student success. Over the years, the increased demand of accountability have led researchers to examine the relationship between principal quality and student outcomes. Based on findings, these researchers declared that principals are only second to teachers as the most influential school-level factor in student achievement. Effective principals influence a variety of school outcomes through their recruitment and motivation of quality teachers, the ability to identify and articulate a school vision and goals, effective allocation of resources, and the development of organizational structures to support instruction and learning. Principals are situational leaders who are called upon to serve in a variety of functions and do so ably and successfully. In designating October 2023 as National Principal Month, we also celebrate the importance of principals who ensure every child has access to a high-quality education. I'm really proud to present this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Jones. We're going to invite Mrs. Hine to read our proclamation.
Thank you. Proclamation National Principals Month. Whereas principals are educational visionaries, instructional and assessment leaders, disciplinarians, community builders, budget analysts, facility managers, and administrators of legal and contractual obligations. And whereas principals work collaboratively with teachers and parents to develop and implement a clear mission, high curriculum standards, and performance goals. And whereas principals create school environments that facilitate great teaching and learning and continuous school improvement. And whereas the celebration of National Principals Month honors elementary, middle, and high school principals and recognizes the importance of principals in ensuring that every child has access to a high-quality education. And whereas the Florida Association of School Administrators, the National Association of Secondary School Principals, and the National Association of Elementary School Principals have declared the month of October 2023 as National Principals Month. Now, therefore, the School Board of Pinellas County hereby proclaims the month of October 2023 as National Principals Month, signed this 10th day of October 2023.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Hine. Is there any discussion from board members? No, I think this is, yes, Mrs. Hine?
I think Dr. Jones really said it all in her remarks, but I think the importance of leadership at the school level cannot go understated. Every school you walk into, you feel the tone, you feel the climate and culture, and that is set by the leader every single day. You know, one of the key takeaways from my Navy time was the 5th law of the Navy is on the strength of one link in the cable, dependeth the might of the chain. Every single link in the people that are at our schools matters, every single one, whether you are the principal in the AP, or you're the grade lead teacher, or you're the HPO, or you're working in our cafeteria, or you're the bus driver, or anybody. Every good leader knows that on the strength of one link in the cable dependeth the might of that chain. And I'm so grateful for people who both bear the responsibility and create amazing opportunity by choosing to be leaders in our schools, including you. Thank you, Dr. Jones.
Thank you so much.
Very well said. Thank you, Mrs. Hine. We have a motion on the floor to approve item 4.4, presentation of the proclamation designating October 23 as National Principals Month. We have a motion by Mrs. Hine and a second by Ms. Edmond. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? There are none opposed. So item 4.4 passes unanimously. Thank you all very much. And we're moving on to our public comments on agenda items. Members of the public have
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, there are no speakers to agenda items this morning, and so if you would just like to read the script before the public comment, you could do so.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you very much. Thank you for interrupting. All right, so we're going to go ahead and skip that portion with no public speakers present for agenda items. There's also no unfinished business on the agenda this morning, so we're going to move straight to the consent agenda. We will move, may I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda as amended? I have a motion by Mrs. Long and a second by Mrs. Edmond. All in favor of the consent agenda as amended, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? There are none opposed, so it carries unanimously, 7 to 0. And now may I have a motion to approve bid item 24208-055 from the consent agenda item 7.7. May I have a motion?
Move for approval.
I have a move for approval by Ms. Edmond. And a second by Ms. Cook. And so now we're going to have a discussion about the item that was removed. Ms. Peters, do you want to go ahead and start the discussion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So this is regarding bid item 24208-055, which is for the proposed purchase of the My On Reading Student Subscriptions by Renaissance Learning Incorporated. I did send some questions in, and so thank you for your responses, Dr. Evans and team. But I did have a couple more questions and just some concerns about this purchasing item. This is an annual contract with the anticipated annual renewal amount of $367,500, serving all district elementary schools along with ESE center schools that serve elementary age students. So this is for an online book access service. We already have an online book access through Follett Destiny, and one of my questions was, is there a discrepancy, or maybe a deficiency would probably be a better word, in the titles being offered through the Follett Destiny online service versus My On service? And the answer was the services are different and the titles are different. This is where one of my concerns is. Part of the answer was a unique element is that the My On has a similar feature to streaming TV services, where it monitors student genres and interests and makes recommendations for children based on what they read and their reading ability and level. Additionally, My On is owned by Renaissance, the vendor for the elementary STAR assessment that is the state uses for the earliest grades. As such, My On uses student data to suggest titles to help them advance as readers. So with that, my concern is about additional data mining of our students. Our parents are already concerned with the level of data collection that's going on in our district, and this is yet another layer. So that's a concern that I hear quite a bit. I'm sure other board members have heard that as well. I'm also concerned with this level of spending on an annual basis on another computer-based program. It's increasing screen time, which we should be reducing, especially for elementary school students. I don't know why and perhaps we can speak to why we aren't purchasing physical books to put in the hands of our children for reading versus adding additional screen time, for them to be reading on a computer. So I did also, real quick note before you speak to this, I did also ask if we were promoting the Pinellas Public Library, I think it's consortium membership to our families, as there are additional titles available through the public library system. And I was glad to know that we are sharing that with our families, and I would like to know also how we're doing that, how we're promoting that service as well. So the two questions are why this virtual online service versus physical books, and then if you can share how we are promoting our public library memberships to our families, which they already pay for with their tax dollars. So whoever wants to speak to that.
Mr. Hendrick?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to ask our Executive Director of Elementary Education, Michael Feeney, who oversees MION and this resource in our schools, to give a little background information and answer those questions and any others. Mr. Feeney?
So good morning, Madam Chair, school board members, Mr. Hendrick, and staff. Read on MION is a collaborative project moving into its 8th year with your approval today in collaboration with the Pinellas County School Board, the Juvenile Welfare Board, and the United Way of Suncoast. All students in Pinellas County through this collaborative partnership have access to over 8,000 books. But MION is more than just ebooks. MION is a personalized reading environment that recommends books based on reading level, grade level, and interest, similar to many of the streaming services that you talked about today. Students in grades K2 have their scores integrated through the STAR assessment through Renaissance as well. Currently, there are over 8,000 enhanced books with unlimited access, which is also simultaneous multi-user, and that's one of the differences between MION as well as the public library. Every student can access every book. They don't have to wait for a book to be checked in, checked out. Each book also has a natural speaking audio, so it increases listening comprehension. There's opportunity for word-by-word highlighting by students. There's a built-in dictionary students can access while reading. Students can also record themselves reading the book and share that recording with their teacher, so teachers can measure fluency of their students. Educators also have the ability to search books by standards, curriculum topics, and reading standards. They can assign those books and support and enhance classroom instruction in their classrooms for each student. But they can also assign books to students. They build projects, teaching and learning, as well as teachers can build projects that we use in extended learning programs before school and after school. And then due to our one-on-one computer initiatives, every student's had the ability to access these books both at home as well in the school. And so just to give you a little context as far as where we are today, to date, actually as of Sunday, we have over 370,000 books accessed by Pinellas County School students alone. That's over 5 million pages read to date. So I'll pause. I know I didn't answer all the questions, but I'll ask if you have any other questions.
As a parent, I would rather see books handed to my children. I know our teachers can help with all the things that you're talking about, and I think it's great that we have programs that can aid in that. But again, I am concerned with additional screen time, additional data collection of the students. I know it's integrated and it sounds wonderful, but I think getting back to the basics of education, especially with elementary school students, that's just, I have some concern with that. And we've had conversations as a board about reducing screen time of our students, and I feel like this is adding another layer to that, among other things. So I do have some concerns with that. I would like to see us get back more to that money going to books. Kids can take them home, or they can keep them, or they can use them as long as they need to, or take them home. Or I would rather see a program like that versus an additional online program. That's just what my thought is on this service. I'm sure it's a great program. I'm glad that there are successes recorded with that, but those are my concerns.
And just to add too, Mayan provides that access to students who maybe don't have access to books. And so having that one-to-one device gives every student across Pinellas County the ability to access over 8,000 books, and those books are rotated throughout the year.
Mrs. Edmond, you had something to add?
I don't have a question, I have a comment, and I just want to thank you for providing additional information about Mayan. And I would like to briefly speak about how I've seen it used in an elementary classroom setting. From having teachers have the ability to provide that small group instruction while students are utilizing Mayan, students are able to select their own book, a book of their choosing, which includes a plethora of choices, as well as to meet the accommodations of students with needs like dyslexia or reading challenges where it's reading to them. I think that having a program like Mayan is not only beneficial for individual students, it's helping our teachers provide the small group instruction that's needed to remediate, as well as providing an opportunity for students who don't have access to books outside of class, that opportunity. So thank you for highlighting that.
Thank you, Ms. Edmond. Mrs. Meyer?
Thank you. So I wanted to, as we were having this discussion, I went back and read through the document, and I see on one of the lines it says, by signing below, customer consents on behalf of parents, legal guardians to the collection, use, and disclosure of the personal information of children under the age of 13. With a respect to use of Renaissance products and services. So I do understand, Ms. Peters, what you are saying as it relates to data collection. And as well, I share your sentiment in regards to the screen time. I mean, it's something that we've all talked about as board members in our workshops. Not just, the issues with social media aren't just social media themselves, right? It's the time that our kids spend in front of a screen and not engaging with each other and their teachers and whatnot on a more personal face-to-face level. So thank you for sharing your concerns and bringing this up today. And thank you for clarifying and answering the board's questions as well.
Mrs. Long?
Yes, thank you. I agree with Ms. Edmond. I was a special ed teacher dropout prevention for 34 years. And a lot of my students, when they went home, there wasn't anyone to read with them. And if they don't have the basics of reading, that book is going to make absolutely no sense. So this program, with helping sound words out and teaching them, it gives students that might not have the support that they need at home, it gives them that support, and it's helping them. And for that reason, I think it's so important, because children are not reading. I go to the classrooms in their school libraries are practically deleted. A lot of teachers are just saying, forget it, I'm not going to have a school library, I'm not taking a chance. And that's sad. It feels uncomfortable going into a classroom without books. Children need that. And so if this can help them, and we have so many kids at such a young developmental age, they need that reinforcement for reading so that we don't have the achievement gap. And so this program is an excellent way to help it.
Ms. Long, if I can just add one thing to what you were saying too. One thing that we often see with our students, especially as they get older in the grades, that sometimes their reading level is significantly below level, and they're embarrassed from the books that they're given in front of their peers. Having access to Mayan gives them a high interest book at their just right level and allows them to be exposed to text and scaffold.
Ms. Cook?
There we go. One of the frustrations that especially younger children have is trying to choose a book that interests them, but they can also have the vocabulary, have the reading skills in order to do it. This gives them that hurdle that is already taken care of for them, as opposed to getting a book, starting to read, getting frustrated. You do that often enough, pretty soon you don't pick up books anymore. There also, there's an ability here, if parents want their children to be able to read it, just to find out what book is on their level and what they should be reading and what is of interest to them. They can then go check that out in a library and be able to bring that home. And with our partnership, that would encourage that. But just for students to be able to find a book of interest on their level and to be able to read it, that's what's going to grow readers, because they'll find another one and another one and another one that they enjoy. So I support the purchase of this.
I would like to ask a quick question in regards to everything that was said. I have experienced Mayan as a parent, seen it also being used in classrooms throughout the district. But one of Ms. Peters' concerns that I want to touch on for just a minute is the concern of the annual price of the program. We have stated here that it's $367,500 countywide, affecting 88 schools. Based on my math, and Mr. Smith can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm over here just calculating what does that mean for us, and what that means over the course of 88 schools is roughly $4,176 per school. Most of our elementary schools have an average of about 500 students. If you divide that further, you're talking about $8 per student to have access to over 8,000 books. It's less than the price of one children's book to offer them access. I am correct. Okay, it could be less depending if the school had more children, but that's an average, just a quick average calculation of what is this actually costing us per student to offer. To me, I feel like if it can help a student, $8 is not a lot of money to be able to offer the amount of books that are available on my Ion. And to some students, maybe it is working really, really well. I have mixed feelings on the program when it comes to the data collection as well, but it is connected to our state exam also for K through 2. And with our initiative for early learning, it's really important that we make sure we are putting dollars behind supporting those reading efforts in any way possible to help students regain any kind of reading that they may have lost over the last couple of years, and also get on track for third grade reading. So I just wanted to go through that because I thought that was a very valid concern with the price tag, and also it is a consorted effort with community members from JWB and the United Way participating in the program as well, and I think that's important to highlight. Ms. Peters, you had your light on again, so did you have another question? Or?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. You said we've been using this program for 8 years?
This is moving into the 8th year, correct?
Okay, and I'm sorry, I didn't see that in the information provided. I might have missed it though. So do we have any kind of data that shows how this has helped our readers that were deficient based on their grade level?
I think one of the things that we would say is that we have many supplemental technologies that support students. It's hard to pinpoint one that really does between the small group, between the classroom teacher, between the extended learning program, between the MyOn, between the books that are in library. It's hard to pinpoint one program that made the difference. I think it's a collaboration of all of them that impacts that.
Thank you. And also, you said that this reads back to students and aids children who have dyslexia and potentially maybe vision impairment. Is this the only program that we offer that offers that type of service to our students?
I believe it's the only program that we have that is supplemental. I don't know that specific to dyslexia or visually impaired. We have different supports in place for those students, but those books do have obviously their strengths with the listening comprehension, the read aloud, the dictionary that's available in there as well.
Ms. Meyer, you had your light on again?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So in regards to the concerns over data collection that Ms. Kane also seems to share as well, I have a question in regards to that. Is there a way that are we notifying parents that these programs that their children have access to? Are we notifying parents that these programs are collecting data? And if a parent should have a concern about that, can they opt out from this program?
I'd like to call Keith Masserite as our Chief Technology Officer. This program is compliant with the state's federal and state guidelines, and he can give a little more information on how those work. Important to note also that this vendor is the same vendor that the state has selected for the FAST assessment, and so meets a pretty high threshold when it comes to protecting students.
Good morning, Madam Chair, School Board. On the first page, it does talk about the fact that the company does obtain the data. It says to disclose the personal information to them. That's so they can utilize it to check out the books, provide the information. But if you look on the next section, which is on page 4, talks about confidentiality. They must follow Chapter 119 in regards to all rules and expectations. Florida statutes, all data collected in the evaluation, instructional personnel, and resulting in the analysis of the data will be kept confidential, and all electronic analysis of the data will be performed on the secure password-protected computers. Renaissance shall, subject to the requirements of Chapter 119, states maintains confidentiality and safeguards the analysis of any data gathered as a result of this agreement, and will not, without prior consent of the board, disclose any findings or analysis derived from the non-public information to anyone not a party to this agreement. Upon termination of this agreement, contractors shall, at the election of the board, either destroy or return the board all such information in possession, if any, confirm the same in writing to the board. So they can't do anything without data without our permission. And so they are utilizing, collecting, and sharing it with us, but they can't do anything beyond that. It's right in there. And the JWB, we also have an agreement with them. They must also follow Chapter 119. So we are in compliance and safe with this program.
Thank you. Ms. Cook? That was my point. Oh, that was JWB. Oh, thank you. Ms. Meyer?
So then can you confirm that if a parent had a concern about data collection of this, that they could opt their child out of this program? Is that true, or?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you.
Yes, Madam Chair, just a couple other points that have been brought up along the way. Number one, we do have 1 million hard copy books in our classrooms in elementary schools that have been scanned and are also used at the same time. It was brought up about the federal compliance with technology. Just also want to remind that this is a referendum-funded program, so this is supplemental. And the JWB and United Way provide this to private school and homeschool students across the district at no cost as well.
I believe it's also offered to charter schools as well in the agreement. I'm not seeing any further discussion, so we have a motion on the floor to approve bid number 24208-055 from the consent agenda item 7.7. We have a motion by Ms. Edmond and a second by Mrs. Cook. All those in favor of passing this item, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? There are none, and so the item passes unanimously, 7-0. It's a very good discussion. Thank you very much. And we're going to go to our non-consent item. May I have a motion to approve item 8.1, setting a public hearing and authorizing the advertisement of the public hearing to consider the amendment to policies 2110, District Strategic Plan 5330, Use of Medications, 5330.01, Self-Administered Medications, and 8600.01, Safe Driver Plan. May I have a motion? A motion by Ms. Meyer and a second by Mrs. Peters. Mr. Hendrick, will you introduce these?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Each year, as the legislator passes laws and we catch up to change our policies to reflect those laws, a couple of these are in that vein, and we talked about them at the workshop recently. And I call up our Director of Strategic Planning and Policy, Mrs. Leonie Eisen, who will give us more information about each.
Good morning, Madam Chair, board members, Superintendent Hendrick, staff, and community. As Mr. Hendrick said, most of our amendments to the next two agenda items, 8.1 and 8.2, are a result of new legislation. Following this year's legislative session, we reviewed more than 50 bills and more than 25 school board policies for alignment to those bills. We collaborated with 15 district leaders and the legal staff to inform the amendments that are before you today in 8.1 and 8.2. This morning, in Agenda Item 8.1, we're recommending revisions to 4 policies that Mrs. Kane just named for you. I'm not going to restate all of them, but I will review each of the policies and their amendments in the numerical order. Policy 2110, the district strategic plan. First, before I tell you what those amendments are, I want to again thank each of you for your involvement in and support of our new 3-year district strategic plan. The amendments to this policy specifically reflect a 3-year plan as opposed to an annual plan. Policy 5330, use of medications, there is a new 3rd paragraph in alignment with new legislation and redaction of procedures which are incorporated into the School Health Services Manual. We recommend repealing Policy 5330.01, self-administered medications, because it is consolidated into the amendments within Policy 5330. 8600.01, the Safe Driver Plan. The amendments update the incident reporting criteria for the maximum amount of damage, increasing the amount from $250 to $1,000. We recommend a public hearing for these 4 policies on November 14th, 2023.
Thank you very much, Ms. Eisen. Is there any discussion from board members on these policy changes? Seeing none, we have a motion on the floor and by Mrs. Meyer and a second by Ms. Peters to approve item 8.1. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? There are none opposed, so the motion to approve item 8.1 passes unanimously, 7-0. Thank you very much. And now we're going to move to item 8.2, and I guess Ms. Eisen's staying with us one more time. Can we have a motion to approve item 8.2, the setting of public hearing, authorizing the advertisement of the public hearing to consider the amendment to policies 2421 career technical education programs, 5410.01 required core curriculum, promotion, retention, acceleration in elementary schools, 5420.01 reporting student progress element in elementary school, 5420.02 reporting student progress in middle school, and 5420.03 reporting student progress in high school. Can we have a motion? A motion by Mrs. Hine and a second by Mrs. Edmond. And Mr. Hendrick?
Thank you. Mrs. Eisen again will share what these policy updates entail, and again, many are based on recent laws. Thank you.
At this time, we're recommending amendments to 5 policies, 4 of which are student progression policies, which we typically recommend amendments to at this time each year. I'll review them again in numerical order. 2421, career and technical education programs, adds a bullet F to the board's career technical education program, stating that the program will provide school day career awareness fairs to PCS high school students about career and post-secondary opportunities within the geographic area of Pinellas County. And it replaces the term cooperative education with work-based learning. Policy 5410.01, required core curriculum, promotion, retention, acceleration for elementary. The amendments add language for substantial reading and math deficiencies, update FSA and standards verbiage to be more generic, modify formatting to support the flow and understandability of the policy. Amendments to the next 3 policies, in addition to the specifics, modify formatting for consistency across all 3 levels. So for Amendment 5420.01, reporting student progress in elementary, we've added any student that has a substantial reading deficiency shall have additional parent-teacher conferences throughout the year, replaced the term Pinellas Instructional Assessment Plan with grade level benchmarks, and added science and social studies to reading, writing, and math, which were already in the policy. 5420.02, reporting student progress for middle school, adds clarifying language regarding the requirement to take a year-long civics course once in the middle school grades, clarifies that there are mandatory district-developed semester exams for courses that do not have state assessments, including science and social studies courses that do not have state assessments. And last, 5420.03, reporting student progress and class rank for high school. It simplifies the section regarding grade weighting and removes the grade scales that are no longer in use. We recommend a public hearing for these 5 policies on November 14th of 2023.
Thank you very much, Ms. Eisen. Is there any discussion on item 8.2 and all of these subsequent changes? Seeing no discussion from the board, we have a motion on the floor by Ms. Hine and a second to approve item 8.2. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? There are none opposed, so item 8.2 passes unanimously, 7-0. Thank you very much, Ms. Eisen.
Thank you.
Moving to new business, Superintendent Hendrick, do we have any items to share?
Yes, Madam Chair. First, big and exciting news. The Seminole High School Marching Band was recently selected for the Tournament of Roses Parade. Selected for the 2025 Tournament of Roses Parade. Seminole High School Band Director Gerard Madrinin delivered the surprise announcement on Friday night's practice for the 46th annual Seminole Sound Spectacular, which they were holding on Saturday, hosting 20 bands from across the state. He delivered the news, and of course the students went into a frenzy and then began thinking, how are we going to afford this? And so the district helps them, but they also raise money. So if you get the opportunity in the next year to support the Seminole High School Band, please get out there and do that. This is now the 3rd time that they've been selected to perform in the Tournament of Roses Parade, the last 2 in 2013 and the first one in 2005. Congratulations to Seminole High School Band Director Gerard Mandarin, his several hundred students in the band. They are going to have a great time here in about a year and a half. Several upcoming events across the district. First, we have the second of our Listen and Learn Community Connections series this school year. This one will be on October 12th at Boca Ciega High School. We look forward to seeing the community come out and learn more about the district and have an opportunity to speak to board members, the superintendent, and also hear a little bit of an update on where we're heading with our new district strategic plan. The session begins at 5:30. The second session coming up, the third one this school year, will be on November 8th at Hollins High School. You can visit our website for more information. We have an open house tonight at Pinellas Technical College on the Clearwater campus. Prospective students will have the opportunity to explore career training opportunities and meet instructors at PTC. A variety of activities are planned tonight, including free haircuts by the barbering program and free health screenings by the nursing programs. Go out to Clearwater, Pinellas Technical College tonight. On Thursday night, our English Speakers for Other Languages Department, or ESOL, has a community resource fair at Countryside High School with over 50 community partners helping to provide services to our families in their native languages. The event goes from 5:30 to 7:30 at Countryside High School. Last board meeting, the board approved the magnet and district application program procedures for this year, and coming up are a number of events to support families in making those school selections for next year, including a Facebook Live event on Monday, October 16th to kick off the district application program season. And then the fairs come up on October 21st, October 26th, and November 2nd with choices for schools taking place in January. Lots of open houses at our neighborhood schools, our magnet schools, opportunities to shadow. Check out their websites for more information. And last but not least, this meeting's superintendent standout is a teacher from San Jose Elementary School, Mr. Adam Lane, who's been a Pinellas County Schools teacher for 20 years, and he was recognized by his principal for being the longtime All-Pro Dad sponsor at San Jose Elementary School. It says it provides a valuable opportunity for our students, their young siblings, parents, and others to spend quality time with an important adult in their life. Thank you for planning your effort and extra time and commitment to provide this valuable opportunity for families in our community. Thank you, Mr. Lane, and all of our teachers for the work they do each and every day. Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hendrick. Mr. Kapersky, are there any items to be introduced to the board?
No, there are not. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. And also, board members, are there any items to be introduced to the board? Ms. Peters?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Mike Feeney and Mr. Hendrick, for answering all of our questions regarding the MyOn software program. I didn't get to say that while Mr. Feeney was here. I don't know if he still is. Also, thank you, Ms. Dole, Ms. Eisen, Mr. Kopersky, and our teams for all the work that you do following each legislative session to ensure that the Pinellas County School District is in alignment with the law. I know it's a lot of a lot of work, and I just really appreciate it. And I know that it just helps keep our school district in a much better place. And so I just want you guys all to know how much we appreciate that. I know you enjoy the work, but I'm glad you guys do. Also, I actually want to speak to the topic of banned books. So we've been hearing a lot about this lately, and the district has received numerous emails, communications, people speaking at public meetings regarding asking Pinellas County School District to ban or not to ban books in the 11 months that I have been in office. Not to mention the many hours that your board and district have spent on this topic. I didn't understand this, but how the definition of banned books was understood by some people. And so there is this definition of banned books by a group that is known as Pan America. And in short, it states that any book that at the very least has been subject to a review process, even if it's put back in the schools, is considered banned. That's not the definition of the word banned that I find when I look up the definition by the Webster's Dictionary, which in part states, as it would pertain to books, the word banned would be defined as to prohibit the use of performance or distribution of, in this case, books. Now, here are just a few titles that have been stated over the last 11 months by people emailing and attending our Pinellas County School Board meetings that are said to be banned. Many of these books are in multiple languages, formats, versions, grade levels, schools, etc. in the Pinellas County School District. I'm going to name a couple books, and I'm going to list how many copies of these books are available in our district as a whole. Grapes of Wrath, we have 56 copies in middle and high schools. To Kill a Mockingbird, we have at least 573 copies, elementary, middle, and high schools. Anne Frank, over 560, I stopped counting at 560, in various titles and versions of her story in elementary, middle, and high schools. Of Mice and Men, 163 copies. The Great Gatsby, 436 copies. Fahrenheit 451, 178 copies. Animal Farm, over 200. The Bluest Eye, we have 12 copies. And All Boys Aren't Blue, we have 14 copies. These are just some of the titles that we have heard about. Now, all this information was obtained and is available to anyone to search every title of any book that is available at Pinellas or at pcsb.org/LMIM, and then you can search your book title and what school it's located at. This is all public record, and I would encourage everyone to do this before you go on record at a public meeting stating that a book is banned, when in fact it is not. I, as a mother, am concerned about the idea that book banning is occurring in our district when it's not. I'm a mother. My daughter is a librarian. I do not support banning books. I do support books being placed in appropriate categories based on the law by age. What would be amazing here in our district is instead of focusing on books that are not banned or you would like to be banned, certainly people can challenge books. We have a process for that. The time that we are spending on this could be better utilized, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. It could be better utilized serving the children of Pinellas County School District through mentoring and volunteering for our teachers and for our students in our schools. This is where we need your help. If you're going to email your school board, please do so, but also take an extra step after doing that to email your local school to volunteer and allow them to harness your energy and desire to help our children. We value it and we need it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hine.
Thank you, Mrs. Peters. I just wanted to share a couple of anecdotes today. Many of the Pinellas County Schools leaders that are in this room right now, including a couple up at the dais, Mr. Herbick and Mr. Hendrick, have all coached sports teams in their careers. And we are just wrapping up the volleyball season. So tomorrow is the middle school volleyball finals. And I want to acknowledge Ms. Dahl, who's been coaching the middle school teams at Largo Middle School. I've been volunteer coaching I've been the assistant boys coach at John Hopkins Middle School this season. For both of us, the season has ended, but we wish great luck to those that are in the playoffs tonight and tomorrow. You know, any team that we would play this season, I would go up and introduce myself to the other coaches from the other middle school, and inevitably at least 90+% of them were either teachers or staff at that school who were still volunteering to coach that sports team. But this one coach said, I asked what his day job was, and he said, so I work in construction. I just do this for fun. And I was just curious a little more, so I asked, well, why? I mean, you could spend your time doing a lot of things. Why do you do this? Now, he's a very tall man and kind of lanky and fit, so he looks like a volleyball player. So he could have just said, well, I really love the sport. But he didn't say that. He said, all of God's children deserve the opportunity to be inspired and to have an opportunity for success. And sports can do that, and maybe I can do that. And I was taking a moment to wrap my mind around the beauty of his words, and I was thinking amen in my mind. And then he said, and my wife's the assistant principal here. A dear friend of mine, of our families, passed away too soon this past week after a very hard battle with cancer. And experiences like this are painful. They are also an opportunity to reflect that our life will end, and how are we spending it? And so it was an opportunity for me to affirm how grateful I am to commit all that I am to the common fabric that is public school. And that does, every day, provide the opportunity to inspire and opportunities for success for all of God's children. And thank all of you for being committed to that work as well.
Ms. Edmond?
I would like to provide a Florida School Board Association Board of Director update. Last week, we had the leadership development training, as well as Board of Directors meeting. I am currently the Vice Chair of FSBA's Equity Committee, and we completed the annual work plan for the year. There was a discussion regarding the impact of the 8-year term limits on Florida School Board Association, with specific discussions related to the positions and the roles on executive leadership. So they're looking at possibly reducing or just figuring out with the quick turnover within school boards what the leadership team would look like. 2 representatives or 2 elected officials of the supervisors of elections from Alachua and Okaloosa, they both spoke about the proposed constitutional amendment in partisan school boards and answered questions. Those documents are on the Florida School Board Association's board docs. And also, the Board of Directors meeting, which took place Friday, all of those documents, as well as the agenda, is available. Something of interest to you all might be the Executive Director's report, where she includes lots of information about what's going on statewide as well as national that will impact education. Also worth noting was the 22-23 FSBA audit report was approved, as well as a proposed policy change. And again, that's posted on their website or on board docs. Also, the Board of Directors unanimously approved a letter to the Board of Education, which was initiated by the Equity Committee to address the rule on African American standards. However, the letter from the board is more expansive. It includes, it's also related to Board of Education ruling on AP courses. So that has also been sent, and a copy of that letter is available on board docs if you would like to review it. And I'd like to just share some of the things that I've seen as I've gone to different schools. One was having the opportunity to go to Calvin Hunsinger and learn how they are supporting students, having ESE students as well as reassignment students within their schools. I had an opportunity to visit Distant Academy as well. And one of the highlights or bright spots is seeing and hearing from both principals, support professionals, and teachers about how they are making it work. They show up, and I think it's more than worth noting, it's worth the praise that oftentimes people in the education profession don't feel supported. And I would just like to affirm my support of all staff, support professionals, principals, all district level folks. You are appreciated. And something that I saw at Lakewood, and I hope that it most likely occurs throughout the county, is the highlight of the programs. The CAT program, now I've gone to Lakewood a couple of years in a row, but just to see the transformation in the CAT program. They are building drones, doing programming, film development. They invited local middle school students to come out and experience it. And seeing the kids with the Vibe sunglasses, it's a Vibe sunglasses, that's their theme this year. It was great just to see kids happy. One of the students said to me that this is the best year ever. Another student talked about the changes in the programs over the years and how they appreciate the fact that they were able to start in 9th grade and see the development of the programs, and that they've had some input in the changes that they were seeing and showing some of the 8th graders that were visiting. So I just want to just share with all school personnel that you are valued, you are important, and I don't know any other way to make you feel supported besides writing letters and sharing support from the dais and visiting. But you're in the trenches doing the work. So thank you. And I would just like to conclude my comments with saying we do have several open positions, and it would be great if all students had a certified teacher. And if all bus routes were covered, and if we had substitutes to fill when someone needed a day off or were out sick. So those in the community who are willing to step up or interested in transitioning to teaching, all of that information is readily available on Pinellas County School Board's website. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Edmond, and thank you to the board members. Ms. Woodford, could you please review any board requests? I didn't hear any, but you may have.
Madam Chair, I did not note any requests.
All right, thank you so much. With that, we have no further business for this meeting, and I am going to adjourn the meeting and begin our public participation. So with that, this meeting is adjourned. We will now move to public comment on the general business of the district. Please note that views and comments of the public are their own and not endorsed nor sponsored by the school board or the school district. We cannot ensure the accuracy of statements made, but will review concerns that are raised and take appropriate action, which may include clarifications or the referral of speakers to the proper staff members for assistance. The board is committed to a standard of civility and decorum in conducting our meetings, and this includes from refraining from clapping or making audible noises during or after a speaker's comments. We appreciate each of you assisting us in maintaining a civil and constructive environment. Also, please note that board members or Superintendent Hendrick may leave the dais briefly, but there are speakers in our back room. We will continue to be able to hear all of your comments throughout. Thank you. Mrs. Hauk, would you please introduce the speakers?
Yes, Madam Chair, board members, Mr. Hendrick, we have 10 speakers this morning. The first two are Sarah Peacock and Lee Bryant.
Thank you.
First, I'm here standing in solidarity with our support staff in their negotiations for adequate and equitable working conditions and compensation. As your discussions begin, I hope you can remember the importance of these support staff to every student's success. Secondly, I'm here to discuss the 2024 legislative session that begins in January. Interim committee meetings are already taking place, and more than 100 pieces of legislation have been introduced. 2 bills that harm children have already been proposed. I'm here to ask that you formally oppose these bills and direct your lobbyists to work in opposition to them. The first is HB 49, put forward by a Pinellas representative, Cheney. It strips child labor protections from 16 and 17-year-olds. We must voice our concern early and often, and we need our school board to support us. The bill says minors 16 and 17 years of age may be employed, permitted, or suffered to work the same number of hours as a person who is 18 years of age or older. The second bill I would like to address is HB 131, put forward by Representative Chambliss. It removes requirements that student parents sign declarations of intent to terminate school enrollment, and removes requirements that school districts notify students' parents upon receipt of such declaration. And increases the required attendance age from 16 to 18. In combination, these bills put children in overnight and full-time positions, then takes legal action against them when they are too tired to attend school, then lets them drop out without parental involvement or even notification. If these politicians wanted to deprive economically disadvantaged children of an education, they could not have come up with a better plan. Now is the time to stand up. The damage has not been done yet. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Kane, members of the board, Superintendent Hendrick, and staff. My name is Lee Bryant. My pronouns are still he, him, and his, and I'm president of the PCTA. We just came to a tentative agreement in the contract between Pinellas County Schools and the PCTA. We'll be having a ratification vote on that next week. In the normal function of my job, I receive a lot of questions and complaints from our members. A great number of these complaints could be stopped if some principals and assistant principals would just read and follow the provisions that are already in our contract. I'm going to take a few minutes this morning to highlight some of the things that are actually in the contract already. Administrative supervisory personnel may visit the classroom for professional purposes, provided they are not so frequent as to disrupt the learning environment. An administrator will not disparage the teacher in front of the student. I can't believe that had to be put in writing, but where any teacher has found it necessary to send a student to the office, such student shall not be immediately returned to the classroom, but shall instead be excluded from the classroom for a reasonable length of time consistent with the school's behavior plan. Without jeopardizing required data collection, the administration, in consultation with the faculty representative, will consider efficiency and work to reduce any redundant paperwork or process through the use of technology. Administrators may require up to 1 week of lesson plans at a time to be submitted in advance only under the following circumstances. The teacher has taught in the district for 1 year or less. The teacher is on a success plan, or the teacher was rated as beginning or lower on their most recent evaluation. Those are the only 3. Meeting plans must include the name of the 4 committee members who worked on the plan, the school start and end time, for teacher and student day, a calendar showing all mandatory meetings, and 1 day a month for a voluntary union meeting free of any conflicting meetings. Uninterrupted planning is reserved for the teacher to use at their professional discretion for work-related activities. Coaching means serving as a confidential, non-evaluative instructional resource for teachers to model and help improve their instruction. Coaches should not enter comments into iObservation. No teacher shall be required to forfeit uninterrupted planning time on a regular and continuing basis. The administration, to the extent possible, will limit teachers' non-teaching duties and ensure that such non-teaching duties are evenly distributed among all teachers. The union is not the enemy of the administrators. We always want to work to make working conditions better for our.
The next 2 speakers are Nellie Henez and Reverend Lorraine Brooke.
Good morning, Madam Chair Kane, Superintendent Hendrick, and school board members. Nelly Henez, I'm the PESPA president, and I just want to just have a conversation about the knowledge and the important it is, all these educational super professionals living under wages and being homeless. And they cannot even afford to pay rents, make grocery. Sometimes, most of all of them work in Pinellas County School just for the health insurance. And I invite you, when you go to school visits, do not talk to only just the administrators or the AP or the teachers. Go and have a conversations with them one-to-one, so you can see the struggle that they have every single day in their life. Yes, we are coming to work every day and we put our faces and we do our job. The school district will do not work and do not, on a daily basis, if you don't have an educational super professional in the school system. We are the backbones, but we are struggling. We're $15 an hour minimum wage, and our salary, cannot survive here in Pinellas County. We are struggling. So I hope to see what you as a school board members gonna do about it and make these employees a decent living wage so they can put food on the table and they can provide for the parent, for the children's. We are still employee. We work and we have children in the school system. And we are, some of them, not myself, thank God, because my husband, but some of them, they call every single day crying because they're homeless, they're being put out of the housing, and they have to find some friends to live on it. I hope you guys step up and do something right for educational support professional. Look at yourself and look at them, and we cannot be compared to each other. Please do something about that.
Good morning. I am a former teacher of Pinellas County. I taught close to 25 years. One of the things that I did in 2006 was to come to the school board then and talk about the bullying in the classroom, in sports, in the hallways. We are looking close to 20 years later, and it's worse than it's ever been. I believe the directives that you have about bullying in our schools has not kept up with the media exposure of hate. You need to review those directives of protecting our children. They're afraid to go into restrooms. They are afraid to ride on a bus. They are afraid to walk down a hallway and being pushed into lockers. Our children need to be protected. And if you can't protect our children, you can't say that you're protecting all children. Our children need you now to direct teachers to stand up to bullying in their classrooms instead of saying, well, just man up. That doesn't work. And if teachers are not there, and if the administration is not there, the children's fear grow day after day after day. How can you expect them to learn when they come into a place of fear? How can you? The suicide rate has skyrocketed for our LGBTQ community. Young youth are taking their lives because of fear. Their fear that their parents won't accept them, the school system won't accept them. You need to look at your directives and make it better for our children. Thank you.
The next two speakers are Greta Finney and Lucia Gascu-Carroll.
Hello, everyone, board members, community staff. My name is Greta Finney, and I just retired from my job, and I find myself available to help. And not only that, I'm urging my fellow colleagues and folks that I associate with in social media to also help on the local level, on the school level, and also to support professionals, the folks behind the scenes, the folks who are the unsung heroes of every school. So one of the things that I've come across, not in Pinellas but other parts of the state, are things that Ms. Peters did touch upon, like the fear of banning books and the actuality of book bans, or the introduction of that idea of otherness, that dissent that folks feel when they are afraid of diversity. Diversity is what makes America great. America is all full of folks from different parts of the world with different viewpoints, different religions. And that's what makes this great. So I'm standing up here to also just offer my support. I'm a geo-mentor, I'm a mapper, I'm a retired mapper now, but I'm a geo-mentor, and I'm going to volunteer to help with that. But I also want to stand in favor of supporting different communities, and I am firmly against book banning. So I hope that Pinellas County does not succumb to the pressures of other political operatives within the state of Florida, and stay firmly in favor of all children, to give them the fair shot of the best education they can have. So thank you very much.
Good morning, school board members. First of all, thank you for allowing me to share my thoughts with you today. My name is Lucia Gasquio Carroll. I live in Dunedin, and I'm here today to talk about LGBTQ+ policies and guidelines for our school district. When my then 6-year-old child told us last year that they are non-binary, I had a meeting with a school principal before the school year ended, in hopes of collaborating and getting clarification on the new anti-LGBTQ+ laws that passed. I asked her about using their preferred restroom, and they told me they couldn't answer that question, that question was for you. I asked about preferred pronouns, and they told me that question was for you. I asked about representation in the school library. They told me that question was for you. I asked about specific anti-bully guidelines, inclusivity training for teachers, and more. And I always got the same answer. That question was for you. This meeting happened in May, and I know these questions made it to you according to the principal, but here I am, still waiting. And while my kid and many others wait, I keep hearing the same stories from families. Our kids are not using the bathroom during the whole day at school, including mine. Our kids are terrified of being outed and bullied, and our teachers and staff also live in fear of being outed and the consequences. I know you're not in an easy position here, and I can only assume that you do this job because of the same reason that I am here today. You care about our families, you have compassion, and you want to ensure that our schools are safe and welcoming spaces for all. This is why I'm asking you on behalf of my family and many others that couldn't come today to set policies, to set guidelines that protect our kids and complies with the law, and stop discriminatory measures such as restroom restriction and LGBTQ+ book bans. I urge you to take action and protect the rights that the law gives us, just as Title 11 and our right not to be discriminated, Title 9, and the right to not be discriminated against based on sexual orientation or gender, and the Florida's Parents' Bill of Rights that allow us as parents to direct the education and upbringing of our child. Thank you so much all. Have a good day.
The next two speakers are Anthony Avila and Megan Ross.
Hello, I'm Anthony Avila. Thank you to the superintendent and the board. I am glad to see the board recognizing principals for how important they are to students' outcome. As Dr. Jones said, principals are second only to teachers in their ability to impact those outcomes. So how can any principal or teacher effectively impact every student without clear, inclusive, written guidelines for LGBTQ students? School lunches and student nutritional health is also so important. So I'm glad and I applaud the board for making that proclamation today. But this month is also LGBTQ History Month. And I know that because for the last 5 years, this district has made that proclamation in this chamber. The failure to make that proclamation this year is a telling sign that this board and this district supports the erasure of history and culture being seen in this district and across the state. So please clarify if that is untrue and respond to the many parents and community members and myself who have been in front of this board standing here asking you to release LGBTQ guidelines, written guidelines to protect every student and respect every family. This district has completely ignored us and needs to respond to us as to why it refuses to protect every student and respect every family. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. Megan Ross, Safety Harbor. Within a 2-year time span at Countryside High School, my daughter has seen and experienced more violence than I have in my entire lifetime, including a drug overdose death, the threat of gun violence, and the recent stabbings that occurred. Many of us as parents are terrified to send our kids to this school every day, waiting anxiously for the next lockdown or violent threat to occur. While I fully believe that law enforcement continues to take immediate and appropriate action on these issues, that is a very reactive approach, and I believe this school board needs to implement better policies to address the threat of violence more proactively. To that end, I'm here to recommend a 3-pronged approach to addressing the issues of violence and violent threats at Countryside High School and possibly at schools district-wide. The first is physical protection. We are far past thinking that metal detectors are too frightening for students to tolerate while attending schools, which I've heard some folks say. Quite frankly, what is frightening is sending defenseless students into a, quote, gun-free zone where guns, weapons, and drugs are being brought in while law-abiding students have no way to defend themselves. Schools need to be hardened and secured to deter violent criminals who seek to utilize our schools as a hunting ground for their next victims. The second is policies. This school board needs to enact stronger policies with regards to threats of violence made by students. Currently, when violent threats are made by a student, as I understand it, they are investigated by law enforcement. And if that student is not deemed an immediate threat by law enforcement, that student is allowed to return to school with sometimes little or no action taken. This school board should be taking threats of violence more seriously and expelling students who make violent threats until such time that parents take an active role and intervene by sending their child to the necessary mental health resources to determine whether or not that student is actively a threat to themselves or others. Additionally, there needs to be more transparency in a public forum for making these decisions. Every threat that is made should be brought forward to this board to publicly debate the consequences that are taken against each student. Even if the student's name has to be stricken from the record, the threat that was made along with the school location should be brought into a public forum for a decision. And lastly is parental accountability. Parents need to be held accountable and brought to justice for their role in the crimes that their son or daughter is committing. I would like to know what our district attorney, Bruce Bartlett, representing Pinellas County, is doing to combat violence at our schools. We need stronger programs to protect the most vulnerable citizens in our population, which is our kids. I think the school board should invite Bruce Bartlett to come speak about what he is doing to hold parents accountable for the violence that is occurring, including the recent stabbings that occurred. Until parents are held accountable, this violent epidemic will continue to occur or worsen. And I'd like to say I attended Countryside High School myself, and it is not the same school that I attended.
The next 2 speakers are Penny Weston and Reverend Renee Phillips.
this on? Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. I've only been to 2 of these school board meetings. Back in my time when my children were growing up, we didn't have the violence, we didn't have the discrimination, we didn't have any of this stuff. I applaud you for attempting to be solid, honest board members, but I would ask, the 2 meetings that I've attended, you make these proclamations for persons of disabilities, persons with dyslexia, and this morning it's proclamations for school lunch, for school bus drivers and all this other stuff. So in this today's society, when are we going to get back to the proclamation on safety for LGBTQ and trans kids? They need a proclamation that says they're viable, and like the I think it was Carol Cook said, we're all God's children. And we need to pay attention to that. And I know you have a difficult situation, especially because you live in Florida, and especially because of the absolute ridiculous laws that have been passed and the pressure that's put on you. But we know that if you don't have these children feel comfortable, and if you don't have these teachers feel comfortable and talking to these children that need somebody to talk to when they go to school, and punishing the teachers, and we know for a fact that teachers are running away from Florida, not only because of their salaries, but because of the pressure that you put on them, that they can't say this, they can't say that. And I just ask you to dig deep. And as the one board person said, we are all God's children. We're not here to say that anybody is better than anybody else, but we're all God's children. And when do we get back to that? Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Reverend Renee Phillips, and I pastor a wonderful church called King of Peace Metropolitan Community Church in Pinellas Park. I would like to speak to you today about providing guidelines around the Don't Say LGBTQ legislations so that students still feel safe and affirmed in their classroom environments. I want to share a story with you. I have a godchild who, when she was about 6 years old, in first grade, the teacher decided to allow the students to make Mother's Day cards for their mothers. And she asked the teacher for 2 cards. And the teacher refused to give her 2 cards, asked her why she wanted 2 cards. She said, because I have 2 moms. And the teacher refused to give her 2 cards. And so Sydney sat there and she made the card, and then at the end of the period, as she was leaving, she took the card and she threw it in the trash. She went home, she told her moms, that the teacher refused to give her a second card. And she wasn't gonna bring home just 1 card because she had 2 moms. And I thought, what a brilliant child that they were raising who would not bring home just 1 card. Because she knew that she had 2 moms and that she was going to do something about that on her own. But my point in that is that we have to provide a better environment for our students. What would have hurt for that teacher to have given her a second card, to validate her family? Your vision statement is 100% student success. Our schools should protect all students and respect all families so that they can learn and thrive in a safe environment. Whether the family is 2 moms or 2 dads or a mom and a dad, a single parent, or any kind of makeup, all families deserve respect and they deserve to be valued and acknowledged. Policy should focus on education, not discrimination. Policies that impact schools should focus on addressing the learning gaps and mental health challenges that our students face, not politicizing education. And in order for your vision to be realized and reached 100% student success, then every student must be protected and every family must be respected. Thank you.
The next speaker is Mark Clutho.
Mark Lutho, Largo. Since I'm here late, look at all these agenda items that I missed. But in reality, they won't be missed because what I will speak to today, here's this article, Finding a Better Way to Build. The construction industry is feeling pressure from all sides to build more sustainably. This big article, Climate Forward. Yeah, but you can't seem to do that. So the end result is the beaches take a beating. And then we have this article, what is coral bleaching? How is an unprecedented ocean heat wave causing changes below? And the earth has endured its most sizzling summer. And here, this past Sunday, coral researchers see mass mortality amid Florida Keys bleaching crises. Well, what we can say is you're doing your damnedest to help this along, ignoring science, making the dumbest buildings that are belching the carbon, heating the oceans, and bringing the demise to the precious corals. It's a straightforward proposition. Like Winston Churchill said, we shape our buildings, thereafter they shape us. You orient the building the wrong way, not this axis, you put it this way. Damn stupid. What a pathetic legacy you leave.
Madam Chair, there are no more speakers.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for attending today. Have a wonderful afternoon.